So I'm on a service today, and I just wanted to share this with you guys because I thought it was pretty cool. They have a fish tank, but these are some serious animal lovers, and they had some stuff that I thought that was pretty cool. Check this out. So as you walk up, so this is their front yard right here. As you walk up, yeah, nice little bougainvillea, some nice flowers, but they just did this. This is my first, I haven't been here in about 2 weeks. So this is new. Look at this little enclosure that they built right by the front door of their house. How cool is this? Like how awesome of a pet owner are you to be able to do something like this? You got a little pot right there for the, I believe there's turtles in here or tortoises or something. You got a little area right there, over there, down here. You got a little watering hole right there. Another little watering hole, a little place for them to drink. A bunch of plants that are planted here. I mean, there's just so many areas. I don't even know what's in here. I'll have to ask. But they're growing cabbage, so I mean, this is so cool. The turtles actually, this will grow, and the turtles will be able to actually eat all the food that's in here. So you have cabbage, you have chives, you got a watermelon that's growing right there. This is really cool. And look at this, like a little hobbit hole over here. That's so cool. That's so dope. And then we go over more by the front door, and it's just, I mean, they have a couple kids, but like how awesome. I would love to have something like my parents be able to do something like this for me when I was a young kid. Like, I loved animals, and to be able to have parents that like are into it like this is just a really nice, I mean, if you're gonna have a pet turtle or tortoise, I mean, what more could you ask for? Again, it's like a little hobbit hole over here, but I mean, I just thought this was really cool, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. Now they have a couple of pets here. They have a bearded dragon right here. I'm not good on my reptiles, so I think it's bearded dragon. Correct me if I'm wrong. Got a little enclosure right there. What's up, bud? You can hear the crickets in the background. So they got him. They always got some type of projects going on over here. Over here, they have a tortoise over there. Look at that. Look at the spread that this tortoise has. Look at this. Is that a turtle or a tortoise? I don't know. But look at the spread that it has. I believe that sweet potatoes, strawberries, romaine lettuce. I mean, what a life. I mean, if you're gonna be a pet owner, be this pet owner. Give them the love and the respect that they deserve. If we're gonna hold them in captivity, give them a good life. I mean, this is just, I'm blown away by this. This is really nice as just a holding, tank. And then to be able to move out to that out front eventually, that's pretty cool. And then they have their own little crickets right here that they keep. You know, they have their little egg crate. They have crickets in there to feed them fresh crickets. And then they have something else outside. So here we are. I'll take a quick look on how everything's doing. Hammer coral looks great. Again, we have a bunch of Kenya tree all right here. It's just kind of taking off. Got some anemones. Those look healthy. Some star polyp that's growing in there. Kind of growing up alongside that rock and into the back. This singular coral is doing really good. Little accordion mushrooms doing good. Again, some more hammers. Some mohawk zoanthids doing good. So all in all, the corals are doing really well in this tank. We do have a lot of Kenya tree again. So I'd like to add some more coral to kind of switch it up, give it a little bit of more of a variety. So let's go ahead and turn the whites on so we can get a better look at the tank. So we open up this little canopy top right here. Got the whites on. And the LED lights that we have on here are just your simple Chinese black boxes. Nothing too fancy, they just sit on here. They have a blue channel and a white channel. They've worked really well for this tank, as you can see. You don't need to spend a ton of money on LED lights. If you're doing a kind of a low-tech tank, the Chinese black boxes, you can find them on Amazon. They range from anywhere from $150 to a little over $200. They can work just fine, they have good spread. Yeah, I mean, as long as you have, if you have a canopy style like this, or you hang them from the ceiling, they work pretty well. The one I recommend is, usually I go for the Ocean Revive. They're about $187. Those are a nice light. But if we get a better look right here, we can see with the white lights on, you can get an idea of how well the coral looks. Everything looks pretty healthy. No signs of, a lot of signs of growth, no sign of recession. The only thing, the algae looks great. Not a lot of algae on the glass. So the only thing I am a little bit concerned about is the Kenya tree is taking off. Now, the reason why we prune this Kenya tree, number one, because anytime any coral, doesn't matter what kind of coral it is, becomes dominant, it ends up, again, any coral grows like this, it becomes dominant and ends up fighting with other corals. You can see this hammer coral is being surrounded now, and it kind of takes up all the nutrients and all the good stuff out of the tank and denies it to the other corals. Plus, you know, not just, we want to have room for other stuff to grow in here too. So we don't have that many, there's not that many variations in this tank. I mean, it's only about I don't know, like a 45, 50 gallon tank, something like that. So there's not much real estate in here, but there's definitely, we can get a lot more in here. So the minute she gives me the go ahead, we'll start putting more corals in here. So here we have the filtration underneath the tank, and water comes in here, goes into this, we use one of these little red C cups, and then we just add filter floss in there to kind of sift out some of the nasty. Then we, that flows into the refugium section, which, as you can see, it's just got this little light, LED light on here, which is just this, Chaeto's just taking off. This macroalgae is just going nuts. So we'll trim that up too, take some of this out. Then you have your protein skimmer section here, and then back there is the return pump section. And in the return pump section, we have a automatic feeder. The reason why we have the automatic feeder in the return pump section is, first of all, it just looks better than having it up there in the display tank. But when you put it in the display tank, the food just kind of floats on the top, and a lot of times it goes straight into the overflow. When you put it into the return section, it might stay on the top and float a little bit, but eventually it gets waterlogged and it goes into the water, and then it gets sucked up through the return pump, and then it gets spit out through there, and it's under the water, and then the fish pick it out. So it just works out better, like putting the automatic feeder there. That's the way we like to do it. Now, I know you can buy those feeding rings, but this is just, for us, this works really, really well. And then we have there is no ATO on here, there's no automatic top off, so they add it manual. And then we do have a doser on here, which doses amino acids, calcium, and alkalinity. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do a water test on this tank. We're gonna clean out the filtration, and depending on what the water test says, that will determine the size of the water change that we'll be doing. Usually I do about 15 gallons on this tank. That's usually what the water test tells me, but we'll go ahead and I mean, everything looks great. There's no signs of algae on here or anything. So we'll do the test and we'll go from there. So they got a little mandarin, which is looking a little skinny. I'll have to address that with them. Definitely not as fat as I'd like to see it, but this, again, these mandarins are really tough to take care of, and this is a relatively small tank. The mandarin will eat those pods within definitely a month. And even though you have the refugium and it's sucking up more pods in there, it's difficult. These guys are voracious. They don't stop eating, and you can see right there he's pretty skinny. So I'll have to talk to the customer about maybe dosing some pods in here or coming up with a solution. Maybe we order some live foods for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these pliers and get some work on this area right here, trim this down a bit, some of this Kenya tree, maybe some back there. And also, if we look closely, we have some Aptasia that is growing right here, and there is some over here. Now, we had a major issue with Aptasia in this tank when we first started servicing it. It was really bad. None of these corals were here. They weren't growing like this. There was no hammer corals, there was no any of these leather corals. But we had a major issue with Aptasia in this tank, and how we were able to get rid of it is we had luckily we had a filefish, an Aptasia eating filefish that was going through here and just getting rid of all the Aptasia. But the problem is he did a great job getting rid of all the Aptasia in the display, but then here in the overflow, it was just littered. Luckily this overflow is transparent, but it was just littered with Aptasia all through here, right? So what we did is we took the Aptasia eating filefish out of there, put them in the overflow, got rid of all the Aptasia in the overflow also. And the filtration area was good still, but I mean, Aptasia is kind of one of those things where it's hard to get rid of. So we took them out of here and we put them back in the display, and then we started putting corals in because the tank was doing a lot better. But he ate all of the zoanthids that we put in. He ate all the zoanthids that we put in, and then he started nipping at the hammer corals, and was even going after the anemones, believe it or not, irritating them. So we had to make a decision. Either we were going to do the corals or the Aptasia eating filefish. We went with the corals. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have them both because he did such a great job keeping the Aptasia in check. But usually when they eat Aptasia and it's all gone, they turn their attention to the coral. So we figured we had a handle on the Aptasia. We go ahead and put him in another tank that had some Aptasia problems. But we knew that we were going to constantly be fighting this battle with this Aptasia. So what I'm doing now to treat it is just using the F-Aptasia stuff and injecting it as I see it. As long as we keep it under control and we don't let it go out of, I'm here every 2 weeks. As long as we keep it under control and we don't let it go too out of sorts, we should be fine. I do think an option also would be to put some peppermint shrimp in here. We can try that. Maybe next time I'll bring some peppermints. As far as fish go, we have 2 clownfish right there. We have a damsel. We have that little mandarin that I showed you. We have a neon dotty back and a royal grandma. And then back there somewhere we have a Tamini tang. And I also forgot to show you guys that little toadstool. It's such a nice coral, but he's hidden back there. It's really frustrating. I'm going to have to find a way to get him in the front. There's the neon dotty back. Now those guys are really aggressive, beautiful fish, tons of personality. They look great, awesome for a tank you would think, but they're really aggressive. Now, when you have dominant clowns like this, as you just saw, he went over there and the dominant female clown just kind of shoot them away. If you have fish that can take care of themselves, by all means, go ahead and get a neon dotty back. It seems to be playing nice in this tank. Usually you would see the royal grandma and the clownfish are kind of going at it. But this is what you need. You need fish that are going to be aggressive, but you need a fish like a royal grandma that's not going to back down either. And you saw a little bit of aggression issue right there with the clownfish and the dotty back. The clownfish seem to be kind of the one keeping everybody in check, letting the dotty back not be too aggressive to the other fish. But it also helps that this royal grandma is pretty big. He's a big boy, and they got a really large mouth. So every fish in here can defend themselves pretty well. Then you have this little possum wrasse back there, which is just a little guy, which nobody seems to mess with him though. I think they don't see him as competition, so they kind of let him be. So this tank is, like I said, it's been up for a while. It's well established. Everybody knows their roles. Everybody knows their place. So there's, just like with a pack of dogs, there might be a little bit of skirmishes here to kind of keep the hierarchy in order, but at the end of the day, everybody gets along and they're able to cohabitate. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this F-Aptasia. You can see there's Aptasia right there. And this stuff works great. So it's kind of like a high pH mix, kalkwasser mix. And what it does basically is it hardens over the coral, but while it's doing that, it also burns it. I'm assuming with a high pH. But we've had a lot of success with it. Anytime we've used it on Aptasia, the Aptasia in that area is gone. You just gotta be careful not to get it on coral and just be mindful of that, but it's worked really well for us. I highly recommend it. I'd like to see more of these in reef tanks, more of these in the hobby. I'd like to see us start to transition to smaller fish, and instead of getting these oversized fish for our reef tanks and just tanks in general. I think more focus should be put on more of these smaller fish that serve a purpose. They look better in the tank too. They don't look like you got a large fish in a small tank. It kind of gives you that claustrophobic feeling. Let's do more of this, please. More of them in the hobby. All right, that's all we have for today. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. Thank you so much for watching.